I thought we'd talk a bit about acid reflux today. We've got a Fox News story here headlined, Natural Remedies for Acid Reflux. They say about 1 in 10 Americans has heartburn at least once a week. And they go on to say chronic heartburn can lead to a more serious condition like gastroesophageal reflux disease or GERD. And they go on to say, to prevent the reflux, avoid triggers like smoking, certain supplements or medications, alcohol, fatty foods, citrus fruits, stress, and being overweight. They say there are over-the-counter medications that can prevent and ease the symptoms, but for those who perform a more natural solution, they've listed some natural remedies. One is chewing gum for about 30 minutes after you eat to help wash away the acid. Licorice, they say licorice has stomach healing properties that can get to the root of the problem rather than just calming the symptoms, but they warn that too much can have serious side effects. Baking soda, and mix a glass, half a tablespoon with the water, and it helps neutralize the stomach acid. And that right there clues you in that they don't have a clue as to what they're talking about here, because neutralizing your stomach acid is what the problem is to start with. And they say it shouldn't be used for chronic heartburn because it's high in salt. They go on to say slippery elm. Research suggests a couple of tablespoons in a glass of water can help coat and protect the stomach. Aloe can reduce inflammation in the stomach. And melatonin, a supplement which can help protect the digestive tract. And they say many home remedies are not approved by the FDA. Of course, the FDA approved things like Prilosec and these proton pump inhibitors. Not one mention of another natural solution, which would be salt, which is what your body uses to make your stomach acid, and that's the whole problem. So it's another one of those cases where they just get it all wrong.
Well, you're exactly right, Doug, because when you have reflux, it's not acid reflux, it's actually a lack of acid reflux, and salt, sodium chloride, is the raw materials that the chief cells in your stomach use to make stomach acid. And when you don't have enough stomach acid, the pH begins to go up more towards neutral. When that happens, yeast and bacteria are able to grow in your stomach, because one of the three things that your stomach acid does is keep your stomach sterile. Nothing can grow in your stomach. It is like battery acid. That's where it's supposed to be, a pH below 2. Very, very acid. When it gets up to 3 and 4 and 5 towards neutral, which is 7, you're looking at things like yeast and bacteria growing in there. You eat carbohydrates and fiber and sugar, things made out of carbon. The yeast and bacteria there ferment it, produce gas. You get heartburn, you get reflux, you get bloating, diarrhea, stomach pain, all this kind of stuff. And what you should do is take 4 drops of peppermint oil in a cup of hot water, like a kind of a tea, and that will almost immediately, within moments, cause a elimination of symptoms. And of course, you can take our ultimate enzymes, which has stomach acid in it, to reacidify your stomach. Well, it's taken a while for the salt to be made into stomach acid. Salt your food to taste. Take our ultimate enzymes, 1 or 2 of those, 2 to 5 minutes before each meal, a couple ounces of water. Have the peppermint oil from our Ancient Legacy division available. And I've had people who've had, and I'm going to let Shar tell this story when we come back, after we come back from this break. But we got some great stories about people who've had terrible reflux for years and years and years and years, and just in moments they get immediate relief. And we'll let Shar tell that story when we come back. Okay, Doug, let's go to Shar right now, because Shar, since it's such a common problem, the most commonly sold over-the-counter medication in pharmacies is for maldigestion, indigestion. Things like non-prescription over-the-counter Prilosec, Nexium, all these proton pump inhibitors that stop stomach acid, Rolaids, all these things that neutralize stomach acid. I want you to tell the story of Pastor Hunter and his wife. They're in a hotel lobby at 1 o'clock in the morning.
Yep, they were in a hotel lobby, and he was talking about his problems with diabetes and everything to you, and his wife was sitting there belching about every 10 seconds. She was burping and belching, and to the point where she couldn't talk, and she could tell she didn't want to be there. It was very obvious she was not happy being there. And you mentioned that you wanted her to give her some peppermint for her indigestion, and she said, oh, no, she couldn't take that because the doctor told her not to take that. It was too much acid. And you couldn't stand it, so you finally went and got some hot water and put 3 or 4 drops of peppermint in the hot water and told her, don't drink it, just smell it. And a couple of seconds later, you see her taking a couple of sips of it, and within 10 seconds, so help me God, within 10 seconds, she stopped belching and burping. it worked that fast. And Doc says, "Oh, I think you're cured." And she, "Yeah, I guess I am. I'm cured."
And she's been suffering with that Char for 12 years.
Yes, it was. And you know, it changed her whole attitude, I could see, because she, you know, you could tell she didn't want to be around us. And after that happened and she became normal, so to speak, normal, she was very happy to be with us, and she enjoyed, you know, they invited us to a big banquet when they had their anniversary of their church and everything. It was really...
Well, yeah, they let her upstairs during the church services, because for 12 years she'd have to stay in the basement washing dishes and preparing food because she disturbed the church services.
Yeah, and
belching and burping.
The whole thing goes back to like what Doug was talking about. Is it, you know, like Hitler said, if you tell the same lie enough, people believe it, and that's been a lie that they've been telling forever. And we have a distributor that worked for Blue Cross Blue Shield. And he said he could tell you the top-selling drugs. It was the ones they advertised on TV, and people would come in and say they wanted the purple pill. They didn't know what it was for. They just wanted the purple pill